I guess it was the Uber bill a while ago, introduced by Senator Hallstrom, where he wanted to classify Uber drivers and other rideshare and gig workers as independent contractors and put that in statute so that workers could not advocate for their own unionization or organizing or anything like that. And I said, I think that the government should stay out of relationships between employers and employees. I do think that. You guys don't even know how I voted on this initiative, do you? The difference is we didn't have, in my district, 75% of the voters come in and say, hey, Senator Hunt, I don't think that Uber drivers should be able to unionize. And Senator Jacobson is smart enough to know that. He knows the difference. If 75% of my voters came in, as they did on this minimum wage bill, and said, we don't want Uber drivers to unionize, then guess what? I wouldn't be standing up here today on April 1st, 2025 at 4:30 trying to overturn the will of the voters. You do know. You are smart enough to know, but you say things that make me wonder. I'm gaslighting myself. I feel crazy. You say things that make me wonder if you get the difference between what we would like to do as a supermajority conservative Trump supporting body versus what the majority of voters vote for, which is not for us to overturn or mess with. The majority of voters supported the minimum wage increase at the ballot box, and that's all that matters. Economic theory doesn't matter, what people should get paid, what the cost of living, poverty index, none of that matters. And I'll tell you what, these voters are going to be shocked to learn that what they voted for, what they organized for, what they worked so hard for, and what they won is now being undermined in the legislature. A lot of voters supported the raise in minimum wage on the ballot, but they don't follow every single move that we make here in the legislature. They're not tuned in. They're not, necessarily reading the news every day. They're not looking at Twitter to follow the journalists to see what it is we're doing in here because they have regular lives and they're busy. A lot of them have more than one job. They got more to do. And they're going to be surprised if this bill passes that the things that they worked for has not been implemented and has in fact been overturned by their legislature. And frankly, I think that people need to be organizing now to boycott the businesses of senators who support this measure. They need to be peacefully but persistently picketing the homes and offices and businesses of senators that support this measure, because I think people should be angry about that. I think that the advocacy community and activists and people who work to stand up for their own rights, they aren't fighting back against elected officials like they used to. And I think it's time for us to get a healthy dose of that. Because if we're going to pretend that the public service that we provide here is about respecting the will of the people, we better start acting like it. We can't pick and choose which results we honor based on what's convenient for our personal politics or our businesses or our bottom lines. And Nebraskans need to wake up, hold us accountable, and realize that that's exactly what we're doing to them. Everything we do in this body is a reflection on whether or not democracy is working. That's what I think about every day. It's a reflection on whether the people believe that their voice matters and whether or not we as elected officials are worthy of the trust that they place in us. That's what this is really about at the end of the day, is trust. Trust in our democratic institutions, trust in the process, and trust in the idea that your vote means something, even if it's inconvenient to Senator Raybould and others in power. I think it's time for the people of Nebraska to hold elected officials accountable. I think they need to be in the rotunda. I think they ought to be at our offices, our businesses, and I think it's time for the advocacy community to take, some of the oomph and the stamina that they had to pass this ballot initiative in the first place, because now it's time to step up and fight to defend it, because it's going to be taken away from you. We are debating whether the people's will has any staying power when it conflicts with the interests of people in power. It's time for Nebraskans to organize against that, and I'll be standing right there with you. Thank you, Mr. President.